What, you don't know if you lost a lot every day?
I've never kept track. Do you keep track of your records?
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time, like, I literally have never tracked my results in my life.
Me and my buddy, we make it all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money.
All right, guys, welcome back to Table One Podcast. Justin Young, Arthur Parmann, and very special guest, David Baker. Bakes or... No, not Bakes, sorry. We're going to go with the original David Baker. He was born first, so he gets that name.
Wow, you didn't call me old David Baker. That's what some people think the ODB is for, but no, original.
Yeah, come on, like what... you're not even that old. What are you, like 52, 53?
52?
Original. The original rebranding of old.
But yeah, thank you for joining us. David has been around the poker scene since I can remember anyway, which I'm quite old myself, so that shows you, how long he's been around. When did you, I read you were born in Connecticut and then went to Auburn. Like, how does that transition work? Like, that seems like quite the stretch.
Yeah, born in Connecticut. My dad worked in for oil company, worked for Shell Oil, and back then, what they would do is they would basically just transfer you every 4 years. And so we lived in Connecticut, Massachusetts, then we moved to Ohio, then we moved to Louisiana, then we moved to another spot in Louisiana, and every 4 years we just got transferred. Middle class upbringing, and my dad just worked 9 to 5, and went to high school in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so SEC country, and I wanted to go to school somewhere far enough where parents couldn't just drop by, but close enough where they could come.
We needed laundry done. Yeah.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
Exactly. So I looked at a few schools, and I stepped foot onto the campus of Auburn University and just fell in love, and that was going to be my home. So yeah, I'm a faithful
War
Auburn
Eagle?
Tiger. War Eagle is the greeting, but Tigers is our mascot.
What do you mean the greeting?
So you see somebody and you go War Eagle.
Right, yeah.
And then they say War Eagle. It's basically like Aloha or Roll Tide or I don't know.
Birds.
Go Birds.
Do you guys have like an eagle on campus or?
Yeah. We have a eagle that flies down before each kickoff, and the whole crowd goes War Eagle, and then the eagle flies around the stadium and then lands on the 50-yard line, and that's kind of just like it kind of just came. I think the story is that it came from. There was just an eagle that just was like flying around the stadium back a long time ago, and everybody started, and then it just became like a thing. So.
Okay. That's a good story. I never knew that. One of my good friends went there as well, or a big fan of him actually. She went to UAB, but yeah, she never actually told me why. All right, yeah, it's good to know.
So what'd you get your degree in?
I got my degree in finance. When I went to college, I went for electrical engineering, and my sophomore year, I was sitting in electrical physics or something, and I made like a 40 on a test, and like the high score in the test in the class was like a 60, and I looked around and I'm like, this is not what I want to do. I'm like, I'm done. So I was just like, I wanted to continue to go to school, but I definitely did not want to be an electrical engineer anymore. I don't know, just kind of hit me just all of a sudden, like I got to get out of this. So just go into business and ended up in finance, even though I never really like wanted to do like finance stuff. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, just kind of just get the degree and figure it out. But yeah, got a finance degree from Auburn.
Yeah, that's a lot of my friends that didn't know what they want to do, they were either business or finance. It was just like, it's just a fallback, get a degree, and they're all in like completely different fields now. You can almost do anything with that degree anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So like when you were moving out around every 4 years, was that tough? Did it make you like kind of closer with your family? Like you guys playing games growing up, anything like that?
Yeah, it was kind of weird because like, as a kid, you make your friends, you don't want to really leave, but I don't know, it was like part of life. It really wasn't a big deal to me. The only move that really bothered me was in 9th grade, we were moving from Slidell, Louisiana to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which, you know, in between 9th and 10th grade. And that was like the one that really hit hard because I had really good friends in Slidell, and, you know, you're in high school, you're starting to like, you know, you like girls and you got
some crushes going on.
Yeah, you know, you've got your friends and you know, just all these things, and those are the people you're going to go to high school with and you're going to build lifetime memories with and whatever. So that was the one that was tough, but I went to Baton Rouge. 10th grade year was kind of tough, but 11th grade year, I met actually my future wife, which is my wife now, and her and I became really good friends, and she brought me into her friend network, and you know, we got a bunch of friends there. We didn't get married immediately, but later on in life, we came together.
Did you play like the mysterious card? Did you come in trying to be the bad boy? Like, you know,
No,
like,
no, I was the.
it's like, you guys don't know me.
So you went for electrical engineering, Justin. I don't think
I know
you
the
came
answer,
in
but I wanted
mysterious.
to hear say, yeah, I tried to be the bad boy for a
I mean,
while.
I did turn into the bad boy a little bit later, honestly, in life. But no, you know, I was just kind of, it's one of those things, you know, you coming into high school where people don't, it's not a big transfer place. You know, like if you grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, or Dallas, Texas, or Houston, Texas, or some of these places where people are constantly coming in and out, I think it might be a little bit easier. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, like everybody's lifers. So it was kind of tough because I did go there and everybody had their friends that they grew up with their whole life. So my 10th grade year was kind of difficult. Only year really in my life and schooling that I really like didn't understand what was going on in life and kind of had like identity crises and stuff. But you know, 11th grade, like I said, my wife now brought me into her group, and you know, I met some great friends and everything. So yeah, that was cool. And then, you know, Baton Rouge was cool. Enjoyed it. Felt really smart in Louisiana, honestly. You know, I think that kind of like hurt me like the rest of my life. When I went to school in Ohio, like in elementary school, like they were so far ahead. And then I moved to Louisiana, and like literally the stuff I was doing in 8th grade, I had already done in 5th grade.
You can spell?
Yeah.
Get the fuck about state.
It kind of like, I probably could have gone on to do great things in life had I stayed in Ohio or moved somewhere, because I was pretty smart. But, you know, you go to Louisiana and like, I'm in 5th grade and 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. I'm doing things that I already did in 3rd and 4th and 5th. Got me lazy, you know. I mean, I got like particularly lazy, and I just kind of coasted basically from, you know, junior high and high school. I didn't really do a lot of work. I just could show up and make, you know, A's and B's, you know.
Right.
So I just kind of like took the easy way out, went to college, kind of just skated by, got the degree, didn't really go to class a whole lot, hung out with I was president of my fraternity and did fraternity stuff. And I don't know, like schooling was never like really that hard, but I also like didn't really apply myself. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, probably.
You don't know if it was hard or not because you never gave a shit, basically.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably. I would guess the path that most poker players took in college. They either didn't try real hard and they got by, or they didn't try real hard and they dropped out, you know.
Yeah.
That's fair. No, so did you apply to a lot of schools since you were barely trying? I mean, like A's and B's is still pretty good, even for Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean, I got into wherever. I went. I was going to do a college tour with my best friend and our dads, and we went to Auburn. And as soon as we stepped foot on campus, we were like, "This is where we're going. Like, this is heaven on earth." And then, you know, my dad was like, "We got to go. Let's go check out some other place." We were in the area. We're like, "Let's go check out Alabama." Stepped onto that place is the armpit of society. I mean, Alabama is freaking awful. I mean, like you walk on Auburn and it's like beautiful. There's like trees and beautiful buildings, and you walk into Alabama and it's basically like 1955 has never been, you know, up there. It's awful. So sorry, Shannon Shore.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've just turned off 1% of our audience, so that's okay.
Yeah, but I turn on like the rest of them because everybody, you either love Alabama or you hate it. So Yeah, so I mean, I fell in love with Auburn. I was going to go look at Georgia Tech and Florida. Those were two good engineering schools. But once I went to Auburn, I was like, my buddy and I, we just fell in love with it. We were like, all right, let's start looking for apartments and stuff. So, yeah.
All right, well, this is a gambling podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, forget
So
about that.
in that time period that you were coming up and moving around and going to Auburn, did you ever find poker or gambling in that window, or did it come later?
Well, so my first introduction to gambling was my parents were going to go to Vegas, and when I was like 12, and so every night they would come home from work, we would play blackjack on our kitchen table because they wanted to learn the charts. And I mean, they were going to play $2 blackjack at the Golden Nugget. I mean, it wasn't like they were going to break Vegas. They weren't MIT students or anything. And so we would sit there and we would play blackjack every night after school and after work, and we just play blackjack. So it's my parents' fault that I got into gambling, really. So yeah, they kind of like got me on that. And then, I played a little bit in college, just, we would have like a poker night or something, but nothing really. I never really found poker until later on. In college, I would make an occasional trip to Biloxi, play $1, $5 spread stud. I didn't know what I was doing. I never did. And then I ended up finishing college, and I went and got a job, worked in New Orleans, and I found poker at the Treasure Chest Casino. It was a boat that was about a mile from my apartment.
Oh, miles, so much easier than an hour. Holy shit.
It was like a mile from my apartment, so I would go there every Friday at about 2 o'clock, and I would play straight until Monday when I'd have to go to work. I would just literally play 48 straight hours.
Get off work, go.
Play till Monday morning.
Sick.
Yeah, I mean, I was like full-scale DJ. I started playing 1-5 stud, and then I played Hold'em for a few days, and then one guy in the Hold'em, he's like, Limit Omaha is the crack cocaine of poker. Once you try that. So I played Limit Omaha. We would play 15-30 Limit Omaha, and everybody had just stacks of racks on the table. Every hand, 7 ways. You're always getting odds to draw to some gutter and everything. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was terrible. I'm sure I lost a lot every day.
Wait, you don't know if you lost a lot every day?
I've never kept track. Do you keep track of your records?
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time, like, I literally have never tracked my results in my life.
So taxes must be easy for you then.
Well, I mean, I know what I start. I kind of know what I have. Yeah.
That's good. No, you can put it on the form, like the kind of know what I have. Yeah, no, it's a Schedule C, I think.
No, I'm sorry.
We got the 1099 question mark.
I literally track everything.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not trying to call you out for the IRS here.
But you got a lot of tournament results in W2s, so.
Yeah, well, tournaments are easy to track.
Right.
I've kind of always lived with the philosophy that you have what you have and it doesn't really matter how you got there. I mean, my box has what my box has in it.
Fair.
So people want to analyze and it's like, well, I'm down this much, I'm up this much. I don't know. I mean, I play minute to minute, hour to hour, session to session. I mean, I know if I won or lost that day, but
that's got to be kind of so freeing. Like
chilling
and I lost, and then a week later you don't know, and your box is a little bit heavier, it's a little bit lighter.
There would be times where, we can get on my poker journey in a minute, but like there would be times I would leave LA because that was my main place where I would play poker, and I would have no idea what's in my box. I would go home and like I would come back, and it wasn't never like a lot of money because I'm a week to week. I've been a week to week poker player. Like I'm not one of those guys. I'm not Chance who like all of a sudden like his second month in he's winning 100,000.
Right.
All that stuff. That's not me. But I would literally like come back to LA and I'd be like, I wonder how much I have to play with this trip. And I would go to my box and be like, I think there's like 12,000 in there. I look back, there's 40. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I already crushed this week.
Good job, past Dave.
Yeah, exactly. So I would never know like what I had. My buddy, my closest friend in poker really is Marco Johnson. And He's so meticulous.
Crazy Marco.
He's so meticulous about like his bookkeeping and he would know exactly to the dollar how much his box have and everything. And we would like discuss and be like, yeah, I don't know what I have. I might need to borrow money this trip. I might be able to lend you money. I have no idea. And I'd show up and be like, sweet, I'm already up this trip. Or I'd be like, oh my God, fuck, I'm already stuck 12,000 from where I thought I was.
Online poker must have been a nightmare for you to be able to just see the cashier right there, the whole amount.
Well, I love your questions on your show. So did you turn $50 and never look back? I've literally never withdrawn from online poker in my entire life.
Yes, we got one.
Yeah.
Yes,
Not one single time. I mean, I've transferred out a few dollars, like maybe back in the day, I might have transferred somebody some money on PokerStars or Full Tilt. But these people who deposited and withdrew, I mean, the aliens.
You don't even know what net teller is, do you?
Net teller, yeah, no. I heard about it. I heard somebody had some money freezed on there. I'm so bad at online poker that I went down for Coop a couple years ago. I put money on Skrill. I couldn't even figure out how to get it off. I still have $1,000 stuck on Skrill from like a few years ago when I went down there, and I can't even figure out how to get it off because like supposedly I live in some place in Mexico and I have to be in this location, which I just rented the place like once. So like I have money stuck on Skrill, I can never get off. But yeah, I'm an online poker nightmare.
Maybe the O does stand for old. Internet, how does it work?
Old timey David Baker.
That's pretty true.
No, I'm not too far away from you actually.
Yeah.
Just a quick break here. Have you ever checked out like the listing for Coachella or some other music festival and you look at it and you're like, man, Kanye, I don't know a lot of bands, Eminem, how do they get all these people on here? Well, Phenom Poker has a list of pros: Joe Chong, Sergio Ido, Justin Young,
Chris Hunichin.
Brian Brass, Chris Hunichin,
Eric Baldwin. Yeah, it's a who's who.
It's a who's who of guys who just support this
Engel.
platform, and it hasn't even launched yet. And Table One is on that list. We support Phenom Poker. We think they're going to do good things. It's going to be the online poker site that you can trust. You can deposit with crypto. They're going to teach you how to do everything. And the best time to sign up is right now before they launch, because everybody who signs up to the waiting list is going to get extra tokens, extra rake back. It's really going to be in your best interest to sign up now. So just check in the description below. We're going to have a link right at the top that says Phenom Poker. Sign up through Table One, get on the waiting list, and sign up today.
Super simple. Name, email, and then you're on with us. So, okay, so that's fantastic. So, like, you still were around during like the online boom, like, or the poker boom, I suppose, but like online especially. So, I obviously you didn't win, but like, did you ever really get into it? Like,
I mean, a little bit, but not really. So, kind of just the way that I kind of really found poker. I played Treasure Chest, and then I had jobs. I mean, I worked for 10 years before I officially quit for poker. I moved to Houston. I started a family, and I was playing at one of the boats in Lake Charles, Louisiana one day, and I'm playing Limit Hold'em. That was my game. I was playing like 10-20 or 20-40. I think it was 10-20.
Some big games,
I think it was 10-20-40, actually. It used to be where it would be 10-20-40. You could bet 40 on the river. And I'm playing with this guy, and he was, we were just talking, and he was like, you're from Houston. He's like, I have a game in Houston. You should come by. You don't have to drive here. So I'm like, okay, sure. So I go to his place. They had a little storefront where they had one table in there, and me and my buddy went. And I'm playing, and whatever, I don't even remember how I did. I went the next day. And then the next day I came back and this guy was there. His name was Ray Henson. And it was Ray Henson's game and this guy Brandon. And so I'm playing and I'm winning. And later on, I find out like Ray is traveling for poker and he's playing like he was in Reno and this guy Brandon made him fly back because I was here and like this giant fish that he had to come play with. So he flew back from these $300 tournaments in Reno and I was talking to this guy and I'm like, this sounds cool. Like I want to do some of this stuff. So later on, he tells me, he's like, Brandon told me like you were the biggest fish ever, that you had a real job and that you were going to support our game and all this stuff. And he's like, I started playing with him. I'm like, Brandon, you are a moron. This guy is going to crush our game. And I destroyed that game. I did keep records for that little period of time.
It's easier to keep records when you're winning.
Yeah. So I kept records for that time. And I think I won like 90% of the sessions, and we were playing 9 and 10 handed with $8 rake, $10, $20, $2 tip, $2 bad beat jackpots, and I literally won almost every single session.
That's so hard.
Limit hold'em. I destroyed
so
them.
hard.
I was doing things before like it was pop. Like I mean, I'm
Playing big cards. That was your move.
I was like
Raising, you mean?
raising, 3-betting, like raising to get free cards, raising to get people out, check raising to trap, like when you've got your just all the things that are just like basic strategy today. None of these people were doing. I just kind of had a knack for it, and I started winning more in this 10-20 game, and then I would occasionally like make a trip out to Vegas, and I'd play 10-20 at the Mirage and 20-40 at the Mirage, and I started winning a little bit there, and I had a $100,000 a year job in Houston.
That's nice.
What was
It was
your
nice.
job?
It was nice. Well, my last job was I sold accounts receivable insurance. It was like a big ticket. It was boring.
Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to ask that
Accounts
question.
receivable.
Insurance. So it was basically like we would protect companies. Companies sell products on credit terms, and then sometimes those companies default. So we would step in. It was a big ticket item. It wasn't like door to door or anything. It was like big company protecting their accounts receivable. It was during like the Kmart bankruptcy, if any of you guys are old enough. So that was kind of like a big selling point back then. Like you protect yourself. If Kmart's your customer, we'll step in and pay your money. Anyway, it was whatever. It was boring as hell, but
$100K a year.
It paid good. Yeah, I paid
no
$100K
kidding.
a
That's
year.
great.
I had my own office. I didn't have to do much, and I could play poker at like 2:00 in the afternoon. I started making more money like playing poker than I did that. I started neglecting that. So I decided I had a brand new baby on the way. I said, hey, to my new wife, to my wife, my currently now ex-wife, I said, hey, I have an idea. Let's just play poker for a living, and let me quit my $100,000 a year job while we have this new baby. Well, there's no poker in Houston except this 10-20 game. I'll fly to Vegas and LA, and we'll do that. And she was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, David. No, she wasn't really.
Okay, I was just like, she sounds amazing.
No, she wasn't real. She was like, are you, she's a warrior anyway. And I was like, look, let's just do this. Let's, actually, to be fair and honest, I didn't really quit my job. I said, let's neglect my job until I get fired. And then I'll
Do the like point of like the minimum unfireable. Like
yeah, exactly. So basically, that didn't last. I expected that really to last like 6 to 8 months. It really lasted about 3. So
you fully
You
neglected.
fell below the bar even for like trying to get fired. I get
yeah.
it.
Well, honestly, really, what happened? They did a little restructuring a little earlier than I thought. So honestly, I probably would have been gone regardless. But let's just say I didn't earn my job there at the time.
Makes me think of that. Have you ever heard of the overemployed movement? Do you know what I'm talking about, Justin?
No.
It's during COVID when everything went remote. All these guys started. They would have their job. It was all remote, and then they would find another job. Like they already worked for Facebook. They're like, oh, I work for Facebook, and they apply to like Google. They would get that job, and they would just do the minimum that they could without getting fired at every single job. They would get like 5 jobs, and they all paid $200,000 or $300,000 a year. Be employed for as long as possible.
And if you get fired from one, you're like, whatever.
I got another
It got to the point where online, one of the funny big markets, this is a total tangent, but for sale right now is these things called mouse jigglers. And what you can do is you can put them on your mouse. It's a physical item, and it just like jiggles your mouse so that like it looks, because they have tracking software now to combat all this overemployment. So they have little mouse jigglers that are jiggling your mouse, making it look like you're working for the person when you're not there.
So I'm going to date myself quite a bit here, but in college, a couple of my buddies in my fraternity, they got jobs, and basically the job was to peruse websites. Like you got like almost nothing. It was like $4 an hour, $3 an hour. It was literally nothing. But what they would do is they would put a rubber band on a rotating fan, attach it to the mouse, and then go to class all day. So like, just go, the fan's like going like this, and it's just dragging the mouse so that the screen won't go dark or anything, because that was the main thing. And they would just come home and they would just be $25 richer, and then they would go out and buy beer for people. And it was fucking great. Like engineering school as well, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
very, like, a lot of smart people, but like, it was just like such a perfect hustle for that kind of stuff.
That's incredible. The original mouse jiggler.
Yeah.
jiggler.
A rotating fan and a rubber band. That's all you needed.
Smart.
All right, where were we?
So yeah, I told my wife I'm going to play poker, and I said, look, I'll make a deal with you. Every 6 months we'll reevaluate, and I can always get a job. I mean, I have a finance degree from a good college. I had 10 years work experience. I'd only been fired once, so no, I even had good references from that. So I was like, let me just give it a shot. And while I was working my last job, I'd gone out to LA a few times because their headquarters were in LA, and I had played a little bit at Hollywood Park and then later on at Commerce. And when I found Commerce, I mean, I know Commerce gets a bad name, but I fell in love. I mean, it was love at first sight.
It was like Auburn's campus.
Oh my God. I mean,
it is just nonstop poker. It is kind of like
it's
the Mecca.
nonstop poker. And I was a limit hold'em player,
Yeah.
and the 40-80 limit hold'em, I mean, it was unreal. I mean,
What year was this that you would like start to go out there?
2002 or 3 or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, they were so bad. I mean, they still are so bad. I mean, limit hold'em. I mean, you people hate limit hold'em, but limit hold'em,
whoa.
not you.
What do you mean, you people?
You people on the internet.
You no limit people?
You know limit people. You don't understand how great limit hold'em is. I mean, it's hand after hand after hand, so fast. Every pot's big. People have, throwing cards at dealers, chips at dealers, yelling at players. It's amazing. It's so much fun. Racks and racks and racks. I mean, I won 16 racks in a game. I got chips so high. I mean, it was amazing. I loved it, and I would go out there and I would just play nonstop. I mean, I would go out there. So I would basically treat my job like an offshore oil worker. I mean, I lived in Houston, Texas, so that kind of thing was kind of just an easy frame of reference. So I would be on 2 weeks, off 2 weeks. And so I would go out there and I would just play nonstop poker for 2 weeks, and then I'd come home and I'd have like all this time with my young daughter and my wife, and then do the same thing like during the World Series time and all that. And I don't know. I mean, I kind of just justified it to myself that I'm getting more quality time with my daughter, even though it was, I'd have to be away for time. I felt like, when I was there because, a lot of people who work, the 9 to 5, they have to get up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and they're racing out, and then they get back and they have dinner and they're tired, and they don't really get that quality time. So when I was there, I mean, I was a good dad, and, I did a lot of stuff with them, and we had a lot of fun. And then I would go and I'd play poker, and I would just pure degen. I mean, I would just play. Nobody worked harder than me when I was there. I mean, I would play 14, 16, 18, 24 hours a day.
That's nice.
So yeah, and it was great. I loved it. I was super successful at limit hold'em, but the problem was I never really got that far ahead because, I mean, I'm paying lots in expenses for airfare. I'm paying for, hotel at the Commerce every night. I'm, paying for a life in Houston. We had a nice house, we had cars, education, all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I was just kind of like the rat or the gerbil in the thing, but it was okay because I had fun and I enjoyed it.
You had fun. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I loved it. And then, I found tournament poker, and
that was gonna be my next question. So, like, when did the actual poker drug come into your veins of tournament poker? Because it's literally what it is.
I mean, tournament poker, I mean, I went to Tunica. The first real tournament that I can remember in Tunica, I was playing like a $300 tournament, and I ended up stone bubbling with pocket jacks. And I was sitting next to this guy, and I was like, oh, should I have gone in there? Like, I didn't know. And ended up where, like, this guy had so impressed me by the way that he played. Like, he was so aggressive, and he was raising, he was doing all this stuff, and I'm sitting there and I'm just trying to cash, and then I ended up with jacks and I stone bubbled. And that guy was Matt Glantz, funny enough. So this guy, like, just kind of like left an impression in my brain. Like, I want to be like that guy.
Actually, a little side note, used to confuse you two, you and Matt Glantz, because you busted me out at, I don't know if it was the bike, what was the WPT that you won in
that was
LAPC.
LAPC.
Yeah.
You busted me out in the money in LAPC, and I sent a text to Justin. I'm like, man, Matt Glantz just busted me out. I didn't expect him to 3-bet me with Jack 10 suited and triple off on the Jack high flop, so I called him down with 9s, and anyways, it was you.
Well, that's, it's funny because I get confused by Mac. I literally, 30 people have congratulated me for my $1 million bounty.
At this point, you just say, thank you. I appreciate that. You don't correct him anymore, do you?
A side note, this year during the mystery bounty, I bagged on day 1, and 2 hours before bagging, I was over at some other tournament, like sweating somebody on a break just because I was, I had nowhere else to go. And somebody said something about the mystery bounty. He's like, didn't you already win the bounty? And I'm like, no, that's Matt. And so I bag up 2 hours later and I'm walking out and this floor person says to me, it's like, you can't win it again. You already won it once. And I'm like, again? Like literally within 2 hours. And this year was kind of funny at the mystery bounty. I got called up to the stage. I won one of the chests and I was like, this would be so amazing if I
Matt Glantz wins again.
Yeah, exactly. But it wasn't to be. I only pulled a 25,000.
Only a 25,000.
But anyway,
I'll grow up.
That's kind of my Matt Glantz. And then I just started, I just started playing them and I had kind of a little knack for it. I did well. Kind of like, I think the story of my like early career were just like close, but I got myself like in these great spots, and then I just just couldn't close. Like whether it was my own doing, whether it was a bad hand. Obviously there are a lot of reasons why we don't close, and yeah, some of them were super unlucky, and some of them were my own doing, and yeah, I don't know. Just started liking it and enjoying it, and then I found mixed games and mixed game tournaments, and then now it's kind of come full circle. I do like more no limit now, but I don't know. It's just kind of done the whole gamut.
Yeah, just don't want to glaze over for our audience here. He has over $7.6 million in earnings, maybe even more. I don't know. I'm not sure how your summer went, but like that's quite a bit. Like even for old fogey like you and I, like that's a lot of money to have earned to kind of find it later in like your poker like life.
Yeah, I mean, I take pride in my tournament results. I mean, I have over 7 million, and I have one 7-figure score. That's just the minimum 7-figure score.
7 figures is $1 million for those out there. We have a lot of
for those from Louisiana. It's 7 figures equals.
I've never
commas.
never played one of those big high rollers outside of the PPC.
I didn't realize how many tournaments you played. I was looking at your Hendon Mob to research for this a little bit, and man, I was like, this summer. I mean, you had a close calls just this summer. You had a 6th, the 8th, or something like that. A couple final tables in.
Yeah, this was a bad
And you played
summer,
everything. Too. You played like $600 tournaments. The Colossus I saw on there. I was like, why would you do that to yourself, David?
I've fallen in love with the World Series, and that's like the thing for me. I love the World Series more than any other time of the year, more than any other thing. I put cash games aside for 45 days, and I do nothing but play tournaments. My tournament record's really good, honestly. I don't play a lot. I don't travel a lot. I only play during World Series time. I'll go to maybe 2 or 3 stops, and when I go to those stops, it's like for a main event and 2 prelims. I never go for like the whole time. And I've done pretty well, but I kind of always wondered. You don't even
keep track, though. I mean, how do you know?
I've kind of always wondered if I just like grinded like full time, if what I could do on that.
You'd probably be better than Jeremy Osmus.
I would probably not be better.
You probably hate tournament poker if you did that. I honestly, that's just my gut read or whatever. I think it takes a special human to be good at tournament poker.
Are you saying I'm not special, Justin?
You're special in your own way.
I am special.
Short bus special.
Sport, exactly. Short bus special. That's right.
Like might need a helmet special.
Yeah.
So you got your first bracelet in 2012. Like, was it like the whole time was it just like sunshines and rainbows from like 2003 to like 2012? Like just making. I know you don't keep track, but like you were never in danger of going broke. Like your family life was great. Or...
I was literally in danger of going broke every single week for my entire poker career. Yeah,
can relate.
For all you grinders out there, like I've been on the edge of brokedom for my entire life. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll tell you. So I know this podcast is big on stories. I'll tell you a funny story. I think it was like maybe 2004 or 5. You know, I started to have like a deep run in Limit Hold'em World Series event, and we're like 2 or 3 tables. I think we're 2 tables away. One of the chip leaders, and this guy, I think his name's Jan something. You guys, you historians would know. He's a Finnish or Swedish guy, and he still plays a little bit today. Jan Slovak maybe or something like that.
Put it in the comments if you know what
Anyway,
he's talking about.
You would know this guy. He wears glasses. He's
Nerd.
we're like 2 tables away, and he raises and Limit Hold'em, and I 3-bet him with the queens, and he 4-bets, and I 5-bet, and he calls, and the flop comes nothing, and he bets, and I raise him, and he re-raises me, and I re-raise him, and he calls, and then the ace comes on the turn, and it goes like bet, call, and he has ace-6 offsuit. So he just like goes absolutely berserk with this. So like I'm tilted out of my mind, and I'm walking back to the car with my 2 friends at the time, Ray Henson and Russ Floyd, and I'm calling my wife, and I'm just going off. I'm like, this idiot just blah, blah, blah. I'm tilted. I'm screaming at her. I'm like, this idiot just went nuts, and he did. And she said, well, he won, didn't he? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, obviously he knew what he was doing. And Ray and
the divorce papers were in the mail.
and that's when I knew that this was not the wife for me. So I literally just, my head wanted to, and Russ and Ray are just dying laughing because they can hear this. And I'm going off on my wife. I'm going off on Jan, and I can't see straight. And yeah, they still, I mean, Russ reminds me of this story all the time. It's like, well, obviously he knew what he was doing. And anyway, so I went out like, whatever, 12th, or I don't even know on that.
I can't wait to put a bad beat on you in a tournament. This is going to be so much fun. I was like, obviously I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. I mean, like Chance knew what he was doing with the ace jack. I mean, obviously, right? You know?
Oh, you got needles to throw back.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is in the business. This is what we call a callback to a past episode.
That's right.
Of
Check that
Table
episode
One
out.
podcast.
This is where I thought I was being cool and rich and have money, and you know, and yeah, I got slapped down by Chance. He's just like, Team Lucky, I'm Team Chance. Fuck you.
Yeah.
One of one.
Yeah, so then my next close call, 2007, when poker was absolutely just booming.
Like, bad players were so good back then.
Even I could.
Sorry,
win.
I was really good back then.
So this is literally like my sliding doors moment, and it's 2007 in poker.
I like the reference.
It's the WPT Championship, $25,000 tournament. Biggest tournament I ever played, and one of the biggest tournaments ever. $4 million for first place, giving out online contracts and sponsorships like it was candy on Halloween. I'm this youngish kid just doing work. I'm grinding my way, getting through this tournament. There's 25 people left in this tournament. And I'm poised to make the final table. And this Spaniard, Carlos Mortensen, who had already won the main event.
Amigo, I hear, was his nickname back then. But yeah.
So he raises my blind. I still remember this hand like it was yesterday. He raised my blind. The blinds were 12,000, 24,000. He raised my blind to 75,000. I defended the 8-9 of diamonds. The flop came 6, 7, 8. I checked. He bet 100,000. I moved in for 585,000, and he tanked for 3 minutes, and he called me with ace-7. Now the board is 6, 7, 8. I have 8, 9. I have top pair and an open-ended straight draw. He has middle pair.
It's tough to lose this one.
It's tough to lose this pot. There are 23 people left, and I'm about to have a massive stack in this tournament where they're giving out $1 million contracts like candy.
Yeah, they're there. Yeah.
And the turn comes a blank, and the river is an ace.
Barry
And
Greenstein. Shout out.
I jumped out of my seat and walked back. I don't know, I mean, you guys remember the Fontana Lounge where you get paid up on the stage. And so walked up on the stage to get my payment. I went by the elevator and I cried like a little girl. And that was my sliding doors moment. Still the worst beat, and I hate Carlos Mortensen to this day. No, I really don't.
He went on to win the tournament, I imagine. I
and
know he did, actually.
Carlos
but,
Mortensen went on to win this tournament for $4 million, and I got $92,000, which was great, but I mean, let's be honest, it really wasn't.
Not $4 million, yeah.
So anyway, that was that moment. And
Was
then,
this before or after the Josh Aryeh story where Carlos is peeking out at the aviation club and could have got killed by the guy?
I think it's about the same time, honestly.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Josh Aryeh told a great story a couple podcasts ago where the aviation club is getting robbed and the guy's at the cage like, put the money in the bag, and Carlos Mortensen can't help himself. He peeks out up at the robber.
Like from me to you. It's just like
I listened to that episode.
Oh, yeah.
I'm good friends with Josh. That was a great episode.
So that robber could have saved you.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so I guess your initial question was 2012 smooth sailing up to done. It was not. I had a lot of close calls. Then we have now concluded the Bad Beats segment of Table One podcast. Yeah. So moving on to 2012, I had a bunch of close calls up until then. I had a few thirds and some things. And 2012, 8-game mix. I have probably 5 to 10 real friends in poker. One of them was Greg FBT Mueller. We got heads up on the tournament. And for everybody who dreams about being heads up with one of your friends at a final table World Series event, it's not as great as you would think it would be. I have that needle over him, forever, but it really was quite uncomfortable, to be honest. It wasn't as much fun as my other bracelets have been because, our friends were all the same. And, his close friend is Ray Henson, my close friend's Ray Henson, so Ray can't cheer.
Sure.
His girlfriend's there, my girlfriend's there. Like, we're just kind of like they're both kind of afraid to cheer. His best friend's Sean Buchanan, who is also my friend. It was just a very awkward situation. Sure. But anyway, I prevailed and I beat him, and I now have supremacy over him for the rest of my life.
There's that.
Well, that's the main part.
So that is the best part of it.
Plus like $300K or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was great. And it kind of like legitimized myself. I mean, as poker players, we get in our own heads that we need things to legitimize ourselves to the community.
It's true.
Even though you probably don't.
You don't.
But we get in our, and I go through it and you ask, why did I play the 600 Colossus or 400 Colossus, and why do I do these things? I have this syndrome where like I feel inferior to a lot of these players that, they call themselves elite, or people call them elite, and when, people are listing off the best players and when my name's not mentioned, or if my name is mentioned, like I feel like I have to prove myself that I belong on that list, and when I'm not mentioned, I have to prove that you're an idiot and I do belong on that list.
Right.
So every year it drives me, my wife just thinks I'm absolutely lunatic and crazy, which I am, but just that drive to be accepted in your group by people who don't even give a shit about you, and they don't even know you. They don't talk to you outside of like these 6 weeks, but yet you strive for their approval. It's really the dumbest fucking thing that we can ever do, but yet most of us do it. And when we fail, and like, this year, I'm chip leader with 6 left to go in this 3K horse, and I get 6, and it's like, you failed. And it's like these people are like, oh, well, you must, like, how did you blow this chip lead? It's like, no, I lost 2 Raz runouts. Like, it's nothing. Yeah. It's not. It doesn't mean I'm a
chip
better
leader
or
with
worse
25
player.
big bets.
I 7 bets. Like, I mean, it's like, it doesn't mean anything. But yet we put these things.
But yet if you would have won, it would have meant everything.
If I won, I'm the greatest of all time.
That's right.
I mean, it's just, it's stupid how we do it, but yet I love it at the same time.
It's a drug. I mean, it's a dopamine like releaser. It's I go back and forth every year. Not every year, probably every 18 months of like what I hate more, cash or tournaments. And man, like there's just nothing better than tournaments. There's just nothing better.
There is nothing better than when you get deep in a tournament.
It is. When
you get deep in a tournament, it's the best. And people ask me, like, a lot of times, like, what's the most fun? The most fun, I actually ever had at poker, I didn't win. But in 2010, I made a deep run in the main. I got 17th. Mm-hmm. And that, I don't know if either of you guys have ever made a deep run in the main.
He has, I have not.
I got 17th in 2010, the year Duhamel won, and he busted me. that was the most fun I ever had. And I think it's even more fun than it is now, because back then that was it. There was no other events going on. There was no other tables.
I remember that.
And it was amazing for you guys who didn't play back then, and for those that did, you can reminisce. But every day, like when you play 5, 6, 7 of the main, they would move the tables farther and further apart, and they would break down all the tables around you. So as a table would bust and you would get a pay jump, you would hear boom, boom as the legs collapsed on the table, and they would pick it up and move it. And you're sitting there with a stack of chips and they're playing, and you hear this like every 45 minutes to an hour, and then you just know you're 9 people closer to it. And it was just amazing.
It's like the Hunger Games where you hear the cannons go off.
That's actually an amazing analogy. I had never thought about that, but yes, that's exactly what it's like. And a funny story about that, we're 2 tables left, and if you want to see like some of the greatest of all time final 2 tables, look back at that 2010 final 2 tables. The table that goes out from 18th to 10th is unbelievable. It's Scott Clements, it's me, it's Aflac, it's Ruthless, it's Pascal Lafrance, it's Hassan Habib. It's all like guys who either had amazing careers or went on to have amazing careers. But I'm sitting next to Joey Chung.
Joe Baby.
We're sitting next to each other with 18 left, and he looks over at me and he goes, "This is amazing. Every pay jump is like winning a Sunday major." And it was true. Yeah, that was like an amazing moment for me, like 2010, that deep run. And I did go on, I had another deep run in 2012, which was cool too. That was the Merson year. And I met Jesse Sylvia then, and we're still friends today. And I met Merson and like some of the other guys from that group. That was a fun run there too. So I encourage you, if you want to have fun in poker, make a deep run in the main.
Just make one. It's fun.
Yeah, make one. It's fun. It's fun.
So easy. I think I've gotten top 500 once or something like that. Art actually, I think Art got like 40th or something.
I got 41st one year, the year McKeon won, and it was it was cool. It was a really cool experience, and honestly, kind of like you said, you didn't mean to say it, but it's like a networking event going deep, because you're rubbing shoulders with some of the best players. You're gaining rapport with them. I had a small little 1% swappy with McKeon, and we're still, I don't know if he has any friends, but like we still know who each other are.
Well, we know he has one friend. That's Jonathan Tamayo.
That's right.
We know that for sure.
Did you watch that yesterday, by the way? Don't want to ruin for anyone that not going to go back and watch the main event.
If you're listening to the Table One podcast before you watch the main event, welcome to the 1/10 of 1% of the world.
Yeah,
so.
Justin, it's not like it's like spoiling the Super Bowl. I mean, come on, it happens. People talk about it.
I mean, that was one of the weirdest rails I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was like, I like McKeon a lot. Like, I like his humor. I think he's fucking fantastic.
Same.
But that rail was so weird. When they hugged, that was the weirdest hug ever. It's like the first time either one of them ever hugged somebody. And like McKeon's like fixing his, like, he's like, "Oh, my earpod might be dropping out. Don't hug me too hard."
Can't lose this while I hug.
I don't want to get canceled, but there are certain things that people have in the poker, certain afflictions that people have in the poker
The
world.
majority, I would say, yeah.
And one of the things with that is the physical contact is kind of awkward, so I will let you fill in the gaps of the words. But but I like McKeon a lot. We go back and forth on Twitter. He likes me. I think I'm one of the few people that Joe McKeon actually likes. So I take pride in that. And Tamayo, obviously, I'm not like close with him, but I'm friendly with him, and we talk. Actually, Tamayo, McKeon, and I were sitting talking late day 4 of the main. Subtle brag, I was still in then.
Oh shit! Cash.
And we were sitting there, and all 3 of us were like, we have 30 blinds, and then McKeon and I bust, and Tamayo goes on to win it. So
David Baker, nerd whisperer.
But why did I not whisper, "Hey, you guys each want to swap"?
Yeah,
that's true.
We each have 30 blinds.
You didn't
We're
want
all
to shower,
equal players.
that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
McKeon would have looked at it like, no. Sorry.
Maybe.
Probably. Give me 3-1.
Yeah, I probably should have done. I probably could have done it. I mean, McKeon's probably 3 times the main event player I am, but anyway, it's okay.
So past your deep runs, you also played the 50K, the PPC, which is, in my mind anyway, as a kind of a long-term like poker pro, is kind of like the mecca. Like it's kind of taken over my respect level anyway from like the main event, at least recently. Like, so how many years have you played that? And was it like a thing you thought you'd play all the time, or just like this is like I'm gonna try it once and see how it goes? Or
I think I might have played it like, I don't know, 10 or 11 years
that's
now.
so many years.
Yeah,
that's like 550,000.
That's a lot of buy-ins.
This box was heavy those years.
Yeah, I mean, I sell action obviously to it. The year I actually ended up getting third was 2015. I actually had my biggest piece ever because I staked the guy who won the Colossus. So I had an extra few $100,000 in my box. So I decided to go a little bit heavier that year. But yeah, the PPC is the pinnacle. That's the event that I want to win more than any. I had it in my clutches in 2015 and let it slip away. So
who won that year?
Kind of hurt. Gordinsky and JRB got second.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I had the chip lead 3-handed, and JRB had a lot of the chips, and Gordo was short. I had two pivotal hands. One hand is kind of funny. JRB didn't know we were playing stud 8 and thought we were playing stud high.
Oh, no.
And we played a hand that for like a lot of chips that he would have never even played. We were about to go on dinner, and like I had a low card and he had a 10 and Gordo had whatever, it's a 9 I think up. So I said, I'm gonna bring it in for the full amount, like loud, just because I just wanted to go to dinner, and neither of those guys probably had anything. They shouldn't play,
yes.
Which is one of the few times I've ever brought it in full. And JRB just thought we were playing stud, and so he said raise. He raised. He didn't even realize I brought it in full amount. They had to bring it, so he had to bring it in for double, and we end up playing this big hand, and he backs into some stupid Broadway and beats me this big hand, which was like whatever, no big deal. But then I go ahead and I play a big no limit deuce hand versus Gordo, and probably a hand that I've talked to some people, and it's just kind of a standard hand and no limit deuce, but maybe in that tournament, maybe I shouldn't have played it as aggressively. But anyway, I doubled up Gordo, and then we just kept playing, and he ended up like beating me and all that good stuff. So that's kind of another moment that I had in time that I couldn't close and couldn't finish. So are you
going to play it for the rest of your career as long as you can like sell or like, afford it or whatever? I mean, that's
I kind of thought that I would always play it. This year was the closest I came to not playing it. I kind of feel like the tournament has, I don't think it's lost its luster, but I feel, each year it gets less and less of the sparkle on it and the limelight. I feel like, the fields are going down, which means they're a little less soft.
Sure.
The tournament's a lot longer. I don't really care if it's soft. I'm a competitor. I don't care about playing. I don't need a soft field to play, but I don't know. I've kind of found, and I mean, some of you can attest, some of the guys who play only the big stuff, whatever, I kind of find some of them, I don't know, annoying.
There you go.
That isn't the word I was thinking, but I can't get the word in my head. But they're just not fun to play with. They're just so arrogant and over the top, and they're so they think everything. They're privileged. They think they deserve everything,
right,
and they deserve to win every pot. And when you beat them in a pot, they act like such an affront to society and humanity that you would dare play this hand versus them, the great and almighty. You fill in the blank.
Say a name.
That's right, yeah.
I mean,
of the 120 people, probably 90 of them. I mean, it's
and it's just kind of like, get over yourself. Like, I mean, yes, these hands just played them. And if you had my hand and I had your hand and I beat you with that hand, you would do the same thing. And it's so unbearable Some of these guys are so fucking unbearable. And like you read it in some of their like social media posts and it's just kind of like, get over yourselves. Like you're not like this good. You've run on like the high variance. You are better than me and you are better than most. I am not in any delusion that these guys are, that I'm better than them. But the gap between you and some of us is not quite as big as you think. And the fact that we beat you in a pot or a tournament or a day, it's okay, bro.
Well fucking said, by the way. Let me just like echo that. That it is annoying to play against these people, and like it's I think it's a detriment to poker in general or whatever. Like I don't know. I remember as a kid playing against fucking Ivy for the fight, Scotty Win for the first time. Like I remember these like the burn in my brain, like Negranya for the first time, and they treated me perfectly fine. Like even if I beat them, they were like, "Nice hand." Like like
Everyone
well
about Helmuth?
Oh, okay. Well, Helmuth is he's a different animal.
Yeah, he's a different
Played
creature.
Queen 10 to a raise.
Yeah, exactly. And like if he 3-bet you with the Jack 6 because he thinks you're weak, he's a genius. But if you do it to him, you're a fucking moron. It's just like, no, bro. Like we just had the same read that you had. Yeah, we might have been wrong. Yes, we might have been right. And like, whatever. Just like get over yourselves.
The backup plan was getting there, and it worked out.
And also just be grateful. Like just be grateful for like your place in this poker world because, you know, I'm grateful for the spot that I have. I know I have run well in some spots and I have managed to win and stay afloat in this poker society and this poker ecosystem for 20 plus years. A lot of good things happened to me. I also know that I'm a couple cards away from being on your elite level and having won that hand versus Mortensen, that hand versus Duhamel, that hand versus, you know, whatever, that I could have had this bankroll and been playing in these bigger things and networked myself with bigger people to get like backing deals and buy-ins to some of these things too. So I'm not out there on one side of it like thinking that I'm so unlucky that I didn't get to your level or thinking that I'm so lucky to get to this level. I'm just where I'm at. I mean, I know that I do a lot of things well and I do some things poorly and that's fine. I'm humble and I'm grateful for this spot that I have in the poker world. And, you know, if I go on and I win the PPC and the main and another 8 bracelets, I'll be extremely grateful and happy. And if I have another year like this year where I have a lot of cashes and I didn't quite make it to where I hoped and dreamed, which would be winning bracelets and having 4, 5, 6 final tables like I've traditionally done in the past, then I understand that like this wasn't my year and I ran on the low side of variance and that's okay too. We can't all win every year. There are a lot of really good players out there. So I would just say like be humble and be respectful of your fellow players and appreciate the fact that we're here. And also I just really think it makes us look bad when you're sitting there and you're tearing everybody down all the time. Like what are you trying to do? Make these tournaments harder? I mean, are you trying to make like the people who are not as good as you like feel bad for trying to sell to get into these tournaments? Yes, should you not sell at astronomical markup? No, but I never get mad at people for selling, even if it's a little bit over, because you're putting your time, your effort, all these years of studying and things that you've done. And when I say studying, even if you've never done a solver, you're still at the table, you're studying, you're learning, you're watching experience. So I never get mad at these people for like selling. If I don't think that they're worth it, I don't buy it. But I never get mad at people for trying to sell at a little bit of markup. And I get mad when people don't sell at markup. I want you to play for enough of yourself that you're like, have that extra incentive to not like just punt because it's like I have to win or nothing, you know?
Yeah.
So just get over yourselves is really just kind of my message to all of you. That can be the title. I noticed that every time you have a title for it, it's just my title is
Get Over Yourselves.
ODB says get over yourselves. Anyway, that my rant is over.
No, like, I mean it's true. Like I mean whatever. Any tournament poker, specifically tournament poker in general, is it's the margin between winning and losing and winning and being super winner is so tiny. And like I don't think anyone's gonna like achieve their actual ROI for tournaments because it's impossible to calculate basically. So like, you know, if you happen to be on the upswing or happen to be like on the positive end of it, you're probably running pretty good. You know, it's just that simple. Like no one's ROI is is fucking 50% in any tournament. Like it's impossible.
Yeah.
And if your ROI is 50%, you're probably going to downswing.
Or you won't have to sell, so it won't matter.
But all right, after that, I wouldn't call it a downer, but like a reality check. Let's go to like a little bit of a sun run for you. So you won a WPT at Commerce in, was it 2019?
Yeah, either 18 or 19. I don't remember.
So that was what, just $1 million? Like no big deal. Like a.
I would say of all the things, that was like my most validating experience in poker. I've been viewed as, oh, you play No Limit, and it's like, yeah, I've been playing No Limit tournaments from the beginning. I got deep in 2010 main, the 2012 main. I got third in a World Series, event. I made a WPT final table back in the day. Like, I played a lot of No Limit, but to this day, like, people are like, oh, I didn't even know you played No Limit. So for me to win, not only a big No Limit tournament, but I would say, on the Mount Rushmore of poker tournaments, when we were growing up, LAPC was on the Mount Rushmore. Yeah. It's a $10,000 freeze-out event where everybody played. All the great players played. And yeah, LA, and the other part of it was Commerce was my home. Commerce is where I went. I spent 200 days a year at that hotel for 20 years, grinding and making friends there and everything. And for me to have that moment at Commerce was amazing. But yeah, I sun run. I played really well. I went into it. It was funny. I told my wife at the time. Well, my wife. At the time, I told her, fuck it, I don't care about this. Like, I really wasn't into the tournament at that point, which was crazy because I was into the tournament the whole, for the 20 years prior. And I just kind of like played that way for the first couple days. I never really built a big stack, but I just kind of said, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to kind of just do what I want to do. And that's kind of it. And then when I got a little deeper, I played better in things. I 3-bet the Jack 10, and
What?
I think, was it?
Do you remember stacking me?
Well,
I don't know. No chance he remembers you.
No, well,
I'm sorry, you're a blip.
There is a chance. I 3-bet somebody, and it's possible it was you with Jack 7 suited, and I never did that before. But I looked at this guy who might have been you, and I was like, he's weak, and so I like 3-bet. It was honestly probably one of the pivotal hands, and.
I hope it's you. Even if it's not.
We can probably go back in the log and look. Was like Ankush in between us, or
Yeah.
was it? Then it was you. Yeah, you were in like the 2 seat. I was like in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, it was you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Jack 7 suited, and yeah, I think I flopped like top pair, and then I turned like a flush draw or something. I just piled and
Yeah, and I called you with like second pair or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's funny you say about like not really trying so hard in the tournament, because I don't play a lot of tournaments, but I was having a deep run in that one. I was having a good time, and I was on vacation with like my wife and my 2 daughters, and we were going to Disneyland every morning before the tournament, and then I was driving like to Commerce to play like 20 minutes away, and it was just like so relaxing to just like do that first and then just chill and not really care what happens, because I can just go meet back up with them at Disneyland.
Well, I appreciate you having me here since I did that, because I can honestly tell you that there are like 5 people in poker that I hate, and it's all because they put bad beats on me in pivotal moments. So the fact that you have invited me to be on this podcast, after I would still hate me if I was you.
Well, it wasn't a bad beat. You just flopped 3-bet light and then flopped top pair and got max value. I mean, if anything, it was just a good play and a bad beat for me for calling.
Yeah.
Not to mention, if you would have accepted a beer, it would have been laced with like arsenic or something. So
exactly.
like
We'll get him next time.
Yeah, he slipped through the noose.
So I started, so that tournament, once I started to really go, I started to build some chips. I had that hand. I busted Ankush with like aces to either 6s or 8s or something. And I started to build up and I started to get a stack. I was like, this really like could happen. And then I had like a decent chip lead, and then we got the final table, and I look, and it's like Darren Elias.
Killer.
James Carroll.
Killer.
Some of you might not know him, but Mattis Cymbalis, who is
he's a killer. He's a
absolute
crusher.
killer.
Yeah, he is good.
And so, yeah, I'm just like, okay. And then I ended up making the final 6, and it was me, Darren, and Mattis had all the chips, and then there were 3 shorties, one of which being John Smith, the heads-up specialist, another one, Steve Yee, which he really garnered my respect playing with him in that tournament. He's gone on, he's done some things, and the other one is Musa.
That's tough.
Yeah, so...
For a freeze out, that's a tough final table to run into.
Yeah, we had a few days off. This was the first year they moved it to Vegas, and so we did it at the Luxor. And yeah, I had like some strategy meetings with a couple guys, but not solver guys or anything, just guys who play kind of like me, and we developed a strategy. And I just went in like so focused that day. I had never been more focused. And yeah, I just kind of, I guess I just sun ran. But I'll tell you a funny story about that you'll love with our buddy Josh Aria and John Racner. So they each had 5% of me in that tournament, and they came to sweat. We get heads up. It's me and Mattis. I have them 2-1. And I had been so focused that day. I had already bluffed him. I ran like a massive bluff.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I actually do remember that.
It actually has made the WPT like best bluffs of all time, like highlight reel. I ran like this sick bluff versus him, and I just felt like so dialed in. So we go on break. We're heads up. I got him 2-1. $1 million for first, 630,000 for second. A massive thing. Mattis is a better poker player than me in the no limit street, especially heads up. I have never played heads up no limit in my life. I had never won a no limit tournament. He's a killer. So we're backstage, and he's like, "You want to do some sort of deal?" And I'm like, "Okay." And it's me, Racner, and Arya, and we're standing there. And I'm like, "What do you have in mind?" He's like, "Well, the numbers say like you get 900,000, and I get whatever. First is $1 million, second is 630. That sounds pretty damn good, right?"
Right.
You know, why risk it? And Racner's like, "Yeah, you got to take this deal. This is great." And I'm like, I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, I'm so dialed in. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to beat this guy. I know I am. But I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, this is kind of stupid. And I'm about to say yes. And he goes, "Oh, wait, there's a $15,000 seat on top." He's like, "So you're only going to get like 800. And he tried to like get me down for like 5K more or something. And Arya pulls me. He looks me in the eye. He goes, "Fuck this guy." He goes, "Fuck this guy. You're going to beat him." He goes, "You're so dialed in today. I've seen that look before. You're not losing. Fuck this guy." So I looked at him. I go, "Let's play." And I turned around and I walked away.
That is.
And I walked away. And it was probably the dumbest thing I've ever fucking done.
He's really good.
But I don't know. It's like, okay, so now I just said, "Fuck this guy."
I like that.
To one of the high roller killers who is way better than me for no reason at all, except for this guy who has fucking 5% of me, who has all the money in the world. I'm this broke guy who had to sell to play this stupid tournament anyway. And he's telling me, "Fuck this guy, go play." So I was like, "Oh, I better do it now. Like, I better beat this guy." So I sit there and anyway, I ended up beating him. Yeah, one of my strategies with him was kind of cool. Like, and this is just kind of a tip for a lot of you guys who end up getting deep in these tournaments. These guys who waste time banks and they waste time like to make it look like they're they're strong or weak or whatever. Mattis wasted time banks, and he kept wasting these time banks. I never wasted a time bank. He wasted these time banks, and then I would put him in these situations, and he would eventually. I got him to use all his time banks. So on the final hand, my strategy was, I already knew kind of what I was going to do. So immediately when the card hit, I would scream out a bet. So they would start the clock, and he would have no time to really think about it. And when we got to the final hand, I had an open-ended straight. And as soon as the river hit, I screamed out 10 million. Because he had gotten me earlier in the tournament. I said all in. And I had him covered.
Gets a count, right?
And they made me count it down.
That's right, yeah.
And it gave him like an extra minute and a half to think about it. And he ended up making the wrong decision that time too. But regardless, I said to myself, I'm just going to scream out an amount that has him covered so that he can't get a count. And I'm going to do it as soon as the card hits the felt. So like his 30 seconds started immediately because he couldn't process as quickly as I could. He's a better player than me, but he needs the time to run the sims in his head because he's a computer. I'm not a computer, I'm a field player. So anyway, on the final hand, the card hit and I screamed out 10 million. And he was just like perplexed. He's like, what? This card hit? And he's like trying to run these cards in his head and how many times? And so he's just like, call. And like, then I stood up and
That was the winning hand. You had hit on the river, or you had
I
already
hit on the river. Yeah,
okay.
I flopped the gutter, turned an open ender, but I think if I would have done this whole thing that like all these guys do, and they sit there and they stare at the clock until it gets 20 seconds down, and then I go like this and I drop my chips in at a slow pace, and then the dealer picks them up. Right. How much is it? Now he's got a minute and a half to think about his decision. Yeah. So just these guys think like that they're all smart by doing all this stuff, and yeah, maybe in some situations it can be, but if you're up against somebody who is like really going to calculate and go through the stuff, just play as fast as possible because then they're forced into having less time to make their decisions. Also, save your time banks. Don't waste them. I mean, I ended up with them all at the end because I don't really use time, I don't think. You have to have something in your brain to think.
David Baker doesn't think.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a big thinker.
Doesn't think and shits on big pros. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of my
That's
LAPC
a good story. I like that. No, that's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
So was it like a year or 2 years later where you made a good run in the DFS format for the Circa? Because I do want to kind of touch on that a little bit anyway. That's such a cool, cool experience just as someone that bets on football and loves like the format that Circa does.
Yeah. For those that don't know, it's a pick'em contest, right? Every week against the spread, you got to pick 5 games in the NFL, $1,000 buy-in.
Guaranteed $1 million.
He would know how much it is for first.
Yeah, so it's funny now. I spent my whole life playing poker and being a losing sports bettor, and now I would say that I come up to more and more messages on Twitter about football than I do about poker. So yeah, I love football, and I think I'm pretty good at like analyzing it. I'm not a very good bettor because I don't do the models. It's just like poker. Like I'm just a field player.
You're a field player.
Yeah. But yeah, during the COVID year, my good friend and I, Mark Gregorich, who you guys know,
Love
obviously.
Not that he's dead. Sorry, he's alive. He's fine.
Him and I.
He's just up there.
So him and I partnered each year on the Pick'em contest, and we would just kind of like, whatever, just, we do a few entries in the Super Contest, Westgate, and the Circa. And the COVID year, I don't know, I had like some theories on the COVID year, and I expressed them to Mark, and so we did the contest, and we went on a huge run. We were like 19-1 for the first 4 weeks using like my theory, and it just started to work. And eventually the market kind of caught up with what I thought, which was that without the crowds, without these home field advantages, the best quarterbacks in these quiet environments would really be able to audible and be able to check out of bad situations and be a lot more effective. So basically all I did was bet the good quarterbacks who were on the road because they were still building in the home field advantage.
Sure.
So the best quarterbacks without the noise were going to be able to put themselves in the best position to get out of bad defenses. And eventually the home field edge shrunk, but we got such a nice lead early on, the first like 6-8 weeks. We won the first quarter and we got deep, and then so anyway, fast forward to the end of the year, we win the Super Contest. We were ahead in Super Contest by like 3 games going into the last week. We pretty much dominated that contest start to finish. The Circa Contest is a little bit bigger. Now the Circa Contest pays $1 million for first and $300,000 for second. So,
Hedgie?
So we get to the final week and we're like a game back, but there's so many teams that are still in contention to win. It's really hard to hedge.
Oh, fair.
So this is a great story. You're gonna love this. This is the ultimate bad beat story. I've given you multiple bad beat stories, but here's the ultimate. So we're at the Westgate watching the final week, and we win the Westgate one early because our games played and we knew we were going to win. The circuit contest, you see what everybody's doing. So by the time the morning games are done, you kind of know what needs to happen for you to win. By the time we got to the afternoon games, we needed two things to happen for us to win. We needed Seattle to cover at home. They were laying 6 points to the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco had nothing to play for. Seattle had stuff to play for. So we needed that to happen. Then in the night game, we needed the Washington, whatever they were at the time, football team, to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. We laid -2. Since that happened, Philadelphia had announced that they were going to sit all their guys. The line went to -7. So we were in a really good spot there. So basically, we just had to win Seattle. So while this was all going on, we have a lot of friends who, let's just say, run book services. So we didn't have to arrange anything with Circa. We had $300,000 lined up that we were going to bet the middle of Philadelphia plus 7. Yeah. So we would get 300,000 hedge if Seattle won. So we had that all set up. So we had the hedge set up. Now, granted, there's a $700,000 spread from first to second. Seattle takes the lead with 40 seconds left by 10 points. So we are going crazy. We are going to win, and we are going to have this hedge set up. We are either going to win.
Middle, yeah.
We're going to either win 600,000, $1 million, or 1.3 million.
Right, yeah.
Well, San Francisco decided with 40 seconds left, they were going to throw slants down the middle, and Seattle was not going to cover it. San Francisco got within the 20-yard line with about 20 seconds left. Now, anybody who knows anything about football knows this is the point where you kick a field goal, and then you try to get an onside kick, get a Hail Mary win.
That's right.
It was the last game of the season. San Francisco didn't care about it. So they decided to keep going for the touchdown. They threw a slant with 15 seconds left, and they scored a touchdown, and they lost, thus canceling our hedge and putting us in second place. Now Washington goes on, and they win the game by 6 points.
Oh, so you would have hit the fucking middle.
So we hit the middle.
Oh, no, that's 1.3 million.
So we would have won 1.3 million. Instead, we tied for second, which was 200,000. So it was, first place was 1.1, but this bad beat cost us 1.1 million. We would have won more money had Seattle won than we would have just by winning the contest, by just a normal person winning the contest. We lost 1.1 million in that one slant. I think it was Brandon Ayuk caught it. I'm not sure, but
I hate him now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's when all you guys complain about bad beats and backdoor coverage. Try taking one for 1.1 million and get back to me. But anyway, we were super fortunate that year.
Anyway, forget bad beat. We also won about $1 million.
We won $800K between the Circa, the Westgate.
Yeah.
We won $850. And then also, I got to do a lot of cool things, do a lot of podcasts on football. I do the Jason McIntyre pod a couple times a year, and he texts me all the time during football season. He's a super great guy. If you don't know him, he's does Colin Cowherd. He's co-host with Colin Cowherd now. I go on Mitch and Paulie on Visson a couple times a year, and I have a weekly spot on Visson that I do, and I do a lot of stuff. I've got some things in the works maybe this year for some contest content and stuff. So I really do love the football and stuff, and I love the contests. It's kind of like a cool way to be involved in football season without having to bet a lot of money, and paying juice and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Where can people of the internet follow David ODB Baker to keep up with your current content habits?
So you follow me on X. It's AU for Auburn University, David B for my name. It's not
the first time that's clicked in. Oh my God. Okay, sorry, continue.
Yes,
Sorry,
a lot of people think it's
Audible,
for
yeah.
OU or Audible or something.
Yeah.
It's AU, Auburn University, David B. I don't do Instagram. I have Facebook, but that's for just family shit. That's not for real people anymore. And I don't do TikTok or none of that. So I basically do one thing and one thing only. It's X.
Crush.
It's crush. It's win.
All I do is win.
Third place. Roughly.
Yeah, I am a third place crusher. No, but and I want to come. I want to come play with you guys. When you have a game that's not with you guys sitting so deep, and I can just play and not be afraid that you're going to stack me.
What
for
do you mean deep?
bankrolls.
Like the minimum is 5K. There's no.
All right, I'm coming to play with you. I'm coming to play with you this summer because these mixed streets, I don't know how much I can take it every single day.
You know how many quarter of the pots you can take?
But look, I need you to get me in when it's a decent lineup. I'm not very good.
What are you doing today?
I'm not very good at no limit.
No, seriously, what are you up to today?
There's a chance I might play today.
All right, fair enough.
Just a quick break here, guys. Are you tired of playing with players like this? Not this.
No,
like
no.
this? Or this?
Or do you want to play with players like this?
Oh, wait. If you like having fun at the poker table, Table 1 is the game for you. We play high stakes, no limit, 100 blinds. And if you want to get into the game, it's actually super easy. We have a website, table1.vegas. You just go to the website, you click get a seat in the game, and fill out the form. It's that easy. It's your name, it's your phone number, it's the date that you're here, and I will personally reach out to you.
And it's only $5K minimum buy-in. You know, run it up at 2.5 and join us. Yeah.
I do need to be somewhere because I have to pay out all my ODB fantasy stuff. So.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah, like honestly, I meant to bring that up as well, but whatever. Like Table 1, Art and I, like we buy a percentage of the No Gamble, No Future team every year in the 25K, which is a great fantasy draft. But like ODB does something, I would say even more remarkable. He does a smaller event, basically using the already preset like amounts for people, and he gets a huge prize pool for this stuff.
Yeah, we have this year the prize pool is like 360,000 or something.
Nuts.
Yeah. So basically, this whole quick story on this whole thing started. I was driving. I used to drive from Houston to Vegas during before the World Series, and every year my buddy Ray and I we would listen to the live feed of the 25K auction, dreaming of one day being in that 25K auction. And every year sitting there going, oh my God, these guys are stupid. I could build a better team than them. And so I posted on Twitter at the time, one year I was like, these guys are so bad. I said, hey, let's put together a team using these values. I bet I can build a better team than you because I know who's good and who's not. And I expected to have a couple heads up, like lineups versus like 3 or 4 people. And everybody's like, I'll do it. And then the first year, I ended up with 94 people who wanted to do it just by tweeting out the night of. And it was like a nightmare for my wife. Like my wife helped put it together. We had to figure out how to collect and how to receive all this. And anyway, we did it. And then it's grown. Every single year it's grown. We have over 700 people now that do it, pay $500 and compete in a DFS style fantasy poker. And I really think it's been great for the World Series. It's been great for me personally to have my exposure out there and things, which I like. Not that you really get anything out of the exposure, but I enjoy trying to promote the game of poker. Poker has given me everything, and some people don't feel like it owes them anything, and like we pay the rake and all that, and it's like I don't feel that way. I feel like I want to give back to poker, and obviously you guys do too, because you don't need to do this. This podcast is obviously a labor of love for you. And I appreciate anybody who does anything to help promote the game of poker. And, I'll never say no to anybody who wants me to do anything to help promote themselves or the game of poker, because I love poker and I want it to grow and flourish and be here when I'm not here. And, anything that I can do to help promote the game, I do. And so this is actually a lot of work for me and my wife, and we don't make anything on it really.
You don't collect any kind of admin to help with all that shit?
So I mean, I have the guy who does the website, and I collect. I charge a small amount per, and I give it to him, but I don't really make too much. I take a few bucks out of it, but. Basically not for the work that I do.
Yeah, especially during the summer when it's like you're busy poker
and
time too.
Yeah, also there's loss in there. I mean, somebody tells me they paid, and I what am I going to do? To I'm a liar. Right. I just eat. I end up eating entries and stuff. But for the most part, I just do it as a labor of love. And I have 700 this year. I'm hoping one day we'll eclipse the 1,000.
You will.
Yeah, and it's been great. I love it, and thank you to all you guys who support it. I assume most people who are listening to this are people who have followed me in one aspect or another, whether it's football or poker or the fantasy league or anything. And I appreciate your support. And interest in things that I have to say or do in the world of poker and football. So, appreciate that.
And what's the website for that, for those that don't know, for next year?
It's 25K Fantasy, but the best way to do it is just follow me on Twitter. I post everything on AU David B. That's really it. If you want to get in touch with me, that's it. And my DMs are open also, so if you need to slide
Open
into the
DM.
DMs.
Slide in. That's how I got him on the pod.
You
I slid
slut.
into the
Yeah.
DMs.
Yeah, Art slid it. Yeah, all you have to do is say something nice to me. He tweeted out to me, "Tweeter of the week, AU David B." And then I liked it, and then he just slid in the DM, "Hey, since I said something nice about you, you want to come on the pod now?" And it's like, okay, yeah, sure.
I was going to sleep in for the first time in 6 weeks, but I'll
but
chat
hey,
with you guys anyway.
let's do that.
It was a good plan from Art. Like, I know we're friends, but like, yeah, I'm just also very lazy. Like, so like, Art's the go-getter.
Yeah, which is funny. Art texts me. Justin has my phone number. We play golf. We talk, and he doesn't bother to text me. But Art, who thinks I'm Matt Glantz, finds a way to get in touch with me.
No, definitely the worst. Like Art texted me the other day. He was just like, "All right, we got to have someone podcast." I was like, "That's your job." I was like, "Okay, that's my job. I'm all ready to do it. I have like 30 names. Your name was on there. I have 30 names. I'm going to text out." And before I could even send out the first egg, Art's just like, "All right, got it done." Like, I slid into his DMs. He said yes.
Yeah.
I have outworked you yet again very quickly.
All right. Is that the pod?
Yeah, that was really good, I thought. Yeah.
All right.
Guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for doing this, Steve.
All right, thanks.
Me and my buddy, we making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money. Whoa, you know I've been in my bag. Buddy, I got it like that. Yeah.